There was no Jedi Academy. We were just bored, and I think Charlie had a few too many. So it seemed like a Jedi Academy, but really it was just a painful experience. We should probably forget because it was slightly illegal. So I wrote this book. I've written a couple of Star Wars books. I work for Lucasfilm. So, great. And yeah, one fan. Awesome. Sorry about the prequels. Jar Jar wasn't my fault. I married R2. I made the right decision. So anyway, so I do the kids section of StarWars.com, and I also write a bunch of books. So there's some like drawing books and stuff for kids and adults if you feel adventurous or if you just think you have the mindset of a child. But I also wrote Girls Against Girls, which is a book about, the music's playing, so just pretend I'm rapping or Henry Rollins. Either one will work. I don't have as many tattoos, but I can be angry. So anyway, I wrote this book because I grew up in the Midwest. It's not really a precursor to Mean Girls. But I grew up in Kansas and Colorado, and kind of I had a junior high school experience that was like John Hughes meets John Carpenter. So Twister was a good setup because that's where I grew up, where people had very aerodynamic cattle and houses and hair. And I was the only goth girl, and we were called death rockers back then. So if you're in your 30s, that's what we were originally called before Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails hit the airwaves. But I had a lot of mean girl experiences, so I thought I would write this book about how to deal with it, and you can read it as an adult too if you are a mean girl. Let's do a little show of hands. Who here considers themselves a mean girl? Okay, awesome, the guy. Who here, I think the next one's going to be what you raise your hand. Who only sleeps with mean girls? Who's a mean girl magnet? Oh, you just broke up right there. Who works with a mean girl? Oh, come on. You guys are all, is this Burning Man? Are we all happy? Am I really the only goth left? I'm sorry. And now I have to look at my notes. So anyway, that's why I wrote the book. Grew up in the Midwest. Carrie. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a couple of stories of what happened that made me want to write this book. When you're in high school or junior high, incidents will happen and you will get unfortunate nicknames. There are many incidents that happened to me. A couple of them included once I was watching Monty Python with a friend at her parents' house, and they had shag carpeting because it was the 70s. And I had braces. And I laughed so hard that my head hit the shag carpeting and stuck. They had to cut the shag carpeting. I went to school the next day with shag carpeting in my braces. Guess what my nickname was for the rest of junior high? Herbert Muncher. Yay! Flash forward a little to high school. I'm like, I'm going to be goth. I'm going to be different. The cheerleaders won't accept me. I'm not smart enough to be a brain. Chess club got laughed at me when I tried to play Chinese checkers. Fine, I'll be goth. So I dressed in all black. I wore my awesome Bauhaus shirt. I Susie Sued up the eyes, which took 2 hours to make crimping iron, by the way. And I did it to my parents' horror, and I showed up at high school, and I was awesome. I was the shit. I got thrown into lockers, but I was awesome getting thrown into lockers. And I used to go to alternative night at Fort Ram, which was like our place that, well, let's be honest, it was like Predators with teenagers, and they danced to The Cure. And so I went, and I had made this friend on Maximum Rock and Roll. I don't know if you remember Maximum Rock and Roll, which I used to call Maximum Prison Rock and Roll because all of the pen pals were all prison inmates. Yeah, but they had really good tapes and music, so we traded tapes and like comics and really obscure drawings of naked clowns. But anyway, so I got this great tape of a band called Bauhaus, and that's how I discovered it from someone in minimum security. And I was listening, but the way he did like the tape covers, he decorated them, and they were really pretty. And but his signature, like his handwriting was crap. It was prison. You can't have everything. So I would play it, and I would go to this alternative night at Fort Ram, and I was all decked out, and I totally looked Commander Salamander. I hope you know what I'm talking about. And I was all golfed out, Wednesday Addams. So I go up to the DJ, who's a super cool guy, and this is pre-hipster realm, so remember this, in the Midwest, so really not hipster at all. And the DJ's like, yeah, what do you want me to play? And I'm like, I want you to play this new track by Bauhaus. And he was like, can you just write it down? I can't really hear you. So I wrote it down and gave gave it to him, and he laughed. I'm like, oh, this guy's so not cool, not hip, whatever. Get to the middle of the dance floor, because I'm ready. I'm going to own this, like, I'm going to be a slow-moving, moody dancer amongst all the tone lokes. I'm doing this. So I was getting ready to be moody, and he's like, I just want to dedicate this to the girl in all black in the middle of the dance floor who specifically requested this Bauhaus song called Bill the Goose is Dead. It's supposed to be Bela Lugosi's dead for the goths that aren't here. Bela Lugosi, actor, vampire. Yeah, you get it. Okay. A goose. It's not a goose, and he's not dead, and his name's not Bill. For the rest of high school, people quacked at me. And for the record, he still quack. So it didn't even matter. The insults just kept going and going and going. So yes, that's why I wrote this book. So to deal with it, I did a zine about ducks and goth. I owned it. Because one of the things you should do, because if any of you ever become a laughing stock, not that you will, not that you'll get inappropriate nicknames that have to do with STDs or things to do with Star Trek or things to do with sparkly vampires. I don't know what your deal is, but if you get a weird nickname, some of the things you do, obviously you keep cool, you ignore it for as long as you can, you own it and make it a joke. For example, if you're called out as a duck, make crafts that have to use duck feathers. Put it in your hair, and you are now fashionable. You are no longer Bill the Goose is Dead. You are the queen of the goose. And also, weird them out. So in high school, because I was already the weird girl anyway, and I would get called out, and people would shove me in lockers, I used to carry a Ouija board with me. So at homeroom, that was who my study partner was. And I already got really good grades, so I had like half the school thinking that a demon was really valedictorian. Like, it was awesome at the end of graduation when I do the little speech and I like actually put out the Ouija board off to the side. I'm like, couldn't have done this alone. It was probably one of the highlights of high school and why they don't ask me to reunion. And also, you know, you can write bad poems. The best thing to do when you're insulted is write about it, blog about it, tweet about it, make a joke about it. And I probably have some of the best poems ever about cheerleaders spontaneously combusting or turning into alien brides. So if that's ever, I'm telling you right now, this is a benefit for sci-fi. So turn your anger into short stories or poems and you'll make it work. So the book that I wrote is obviously about how to deal with mean girls, but it's also how to deal with not being a mean girl. So if there's any mean girls in the audience, and we're all capable of doing this. We've all done the silent treatment. We've all done the cold shoulder. We've all done the mad at her boyfriend now when we were really mad at him 5 months ago for something, but because he turned the channel, we're going to scream at him and he's going to freak out and he'll never know why. Those are the kinds of things that adult women do that we used to do in junior high. But in my case, I had a little brother, unfortunately, that I was really upset because he was perfect and I wasn't. So I would torment him, Mean Girl style. So one of the things I really like to do, because I was really into reading sci-fi, really into like animals that you could communicate telepathically with animals, and we had a house cat. So I convinced my brother that, yes, I can talk to the cat and understand what the cat's saying. All you have to do is eat Meow Mix. I think you see where this is going. So one day, or Saturday morning, we're watching whatever, I think it was Mr. T cartoon. Put in your own cartoon for your own age reference. I preferred Mr. T. But also, you know, well, I won't go into Mr. T. But the thing was that he would sit there with a big bowl and a big wooden spoon and eat Meow Mix. And it wasn't working. Clearly. So, of course, he's like, why isn't this working? I don't understand. And just, you know, the age difference. This wasn't like last week. This was, he was around 4 and I was around 5. I was that devious at 5. So he started eating, it didn't work, and I'm like, well, clearly you don't have milk in it. You're supposed to eat it like cereal. So backtrack a little bit. I come from a very Midwest family. My dad's a cowboy, has no sense of humor, doesn't understand anything that I do or why I torment my brother. My mom is a working mom, so she's never there. So it's really just a perfect atmosphere for torment. So my dad comes in, he's like, what the Sam Hill are you doing? And he sees the Meow Mix, and literally I'm out in the backyard picking up sticks to get whacked with later on. I know it's sad, but pain sometimes spurns even more revenge. So later, to keep the mean girl thing going, my mom was a 70s drunk, which means, I don't know if you ever picked up like Time Life cocktail books from the 70s, and they're all pastel colored with like different things stuck in them, like bamboo, like umbrellas, or like whatever. It's not as cool as Trader Sam's, but it is a cry for help. So she would drink these great drinks called grasshoppers, and they were crammed in with miscellaneous alcohol in it. And my mom was a giving mom. She was a teacher, so whatever she was drinking, she made virgin ones for us. Because that's how you learn. And so she made the grasshoppers that were the virgin grasshoppers for my brother and I. And of course my brother loved it because it tastes like chocolate mint. We do live in the Midwest and we have very giant insects. I think you're knowing where this is going to go. So my poor brother is like, why do they call it grasshoppers? And I'm like, well, hello, of course they're made from real grasshopper essence. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, it's green. You don't think that just comes from fruits and vegetables. Those don't taste good. Clearly, grasshoppers taste like chocolate, but it's probably, something that you have to find outside a certain season. Come August, we have grasshoppers that are chihuahua sized. My brother was out in the front yard picking up grasshoppers, eating them, heads off of them. It did kind of look like Starship Troopers a little bit. But that hadn't rolled out yet, so I'm taking credit for Starship Troopers, by the way. So he did that, and of course he came back all gutted out with insects all over his face. He's like, those don't taste anything like chocolate. I'm like, oh, you're not eating the right grasshoppers. There's these big ones with the brown legs, so he went back out there, did it again. My point being, I was a mean girl as well. So in order to not be a mean girl, see, this is trying to help you all, not just me. This isn't therapy and this isn't court ordered. So my advice to stop being a bitch, whether it's to your boyfriend, brother, parents, random stranger in the street that you just felt like kicking, understand why you're being bitchy. Because that is the one thing that most of us don't get. If you don't want to go in therapy, it's too expensive, that is what your bartenders are here for. Just tip well by the hour. Don't hold on to things, talk it out. I think my main thing was I was just super jealous of my brother because he was a guy who was perfect and everyone loved him. And I just wanted to see him totally ingesting grasshoppers and cat food. And I don't think he's really gotten over that because I've never been invited to family reunions. Okay, and then if you're bored, which I'm pretty sure I was, do something positive. Read a book, play a video game, do not torment others with insects. And of course, no revenge. Revenge is for ninjas and other people that have better guns. And of course, remember that no one deserves to eat cat food or grasshoppers except for maybe the cats themselves. So that's all. Unless you have any questions about Mean Girls, I'm going to saunter off and drink some cat mix.